Greetings, how are you? Wanted to talk to you today about all the censorship on Facebook, YouTube, all these channels. They really created a monster when they released the internet on people. Originally, it was created and it was utilized by the militaries, by governments. They quickly realized that they were very susceptible to being hacked, being that they were the only ones using it. And so, in order to protect their investment in the internet, they released it to the people. It was one of these things where it was out of necessity. They didn't want to release the internet to us. They didn't want to give us the ability to communicate with each other worldwide in a nanosecond. That was not their intent, ladies and gentlemen. Their intent was dominance and control, absolute control. All right? And so, like I said, the reason that we even have access to the internet is because the military, the DOD, and the governments of the world quickly realized that without having other people on the internet, they were very, very, very susceptible to being compromised, which means that if they were the only ones that had the internet and people started to hack the internet, the only thing that they'd be having access to by hacking the internet was critical data that the government stores, statistics, and just all kinds of cockamamie horse shit, all right? Some of it pertinent, some of it not. So then they release it to the people, all under the guise that they're still going to have control, right? Well, it very, very quickly dawned on them that people aren't as fucking stupid as they thought they were, okay? And due to the advent of technology and the release of the internet, people were now able to communicate worldwide, globally, in a nanosecond, in an instant, real time, all right? And now they're trying to put a damper on that because too many people are waking up at an astonishing rate and their system is literally crumbling. Babylon, ladies and gentlemen, is falling, okay? And it's important to know, for you statists out there, there's a brilliant man that I've been commenting back and forth on my little YouTube channel thing. And I have a problem, and the problem is this. When you tell me that an inanimate idea coffers you rights, that's an issue, okay? That's statism. That's a mindset, okay? The only state you can live in is a state of the mind, period. Now, this gentleman alleges that the state can give privileges and benefits and can also give rights. I want to clear the air right now so there is no more ignorant thought process on this. The state, all right, is nothing more than an idea on a piece of paper, period. It's an idea that a group of people have decided to join, all right, through voting, through all this cockamamie horse shit. All right, I'm going to tell you this right now. The state does not have an address. Better yet, instead of telling you, let me plant some seeds today, because it's better to plant seeds and reap what we sow than it is to force feed and spoon feed information to you. Let me ask you this. Where does the state reside? Is the state a resident? Does the state have a domicile? Where's the state's house? Does the state have a mother and father? What's the state's heartbeat? Does it exercise? Does the state run, jog, swim, interact with anybody? Who's the state's friends? If you guys can answer those questions, then and only then are you able to subpoena the state. The state is an idea, ladies and gentlemen, and ideas are weaponized, okay? The government weaponizes ideas all the time. Look at all you fuckers wearing masks. It's an idea. So frustrating. You know, I'm out in an area of the country that is just glorious. There ain't anybody out here wearing no damn mask. Hardly anybody. If I see somebody with a mask, normally, if I talk to them and interact with them, it's because they have an efficient immune system. They have a deficiency in their immune system, all right? And that's why they're wearing a mask. And I can completely respect that and understand that. I get that, all right? You know, preventative measures, sure. No problem. I also know from being in construction my entire life and going through many OSHA trainings to deal with hazardous materials and chemicals that those N95 masks ain't doing a motherfucking thing for you. Nothing. In fact, let's put it this way. For you ladies out there and men out there that wear bundos, underwear, would you wear the same pair of underwear more than one day after a long, hot, sweaty day at work, creating axle grease? No, sir. No, sir. How many of you nasty boogers are out there turning around wearing that mask longer than an 8-hour day and wearing the same fucking mask the next day? How many of you wear that mask, go into a store, take it off, eat, drink, whatever, smoke a cigarette, leave your mask on a nasty ass desk, a table where hundreds of people go in and out of the building all day long, and then turn around and put that same mask covered with bacteria that's manifesting on your face again, and then continue to breathe in and out? It's absolutely absurd. There are so many health ramifications and implications coming forward from people that are wearing masks. It's disgusting. From staph infection to pneumonia. It's weakening your immune system. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how powerful the Heavenly Creator is. He's so powerful that when you were born, your immune system, with the placenta intact, was boosted. So what's the first thing the doctors do at the hospital? They pinch the umbilical cord to that nutritious substance of life that's within the placenta. Extra antibodies, extra stem cells, extra everything. You want to know how I know this? You see, because when my little one was born, the doctor actually came to me and said, would you like to preserve her umbilical cord and put it in a cryogenically frozen state for $25 a month? And I go, well, what would that do? And he said it like this. He said, well, Derek, if she ever was diagnosed with cancer, if she was ever burnt in a fire, we would actually still have her stem cells, her DNA, her RNA in a controlled environment that we could utilize to help boost her immune system, to help her heal, to help her fight any ailment she incurs in her life. That's amazing to me. That's amazing. But then the thought process came along. Why wouldn't you just let that go into my little one? Instead of trying to inject her with 15 different shots and overdose her in a matter of 4 hours of being fucking born. With all this shit she really don't need. Statism. It's a disease. It's a mental illness for anybody to think that the state really exists and does anything for their benefit. There are men and women who work for a corporation under the guise that it's for your safety. Now remember, when you sacrifice liberty, which liberty is really permission. So let me rephrase this. When you sacrifice freedom for safety, you definitely will have neither. And that's what we see today. People going, oh, we got to wear a mask. It's safety. It's safety. Ladies and gentlemen, if people were really dying because of this COVID thing at such a phenomenal rate, let's go back to 1666. Let's go back and review the actual plague that took place. Let's review the plague not too long ago that happened in Africa. Okay, people literally dying everywhere because the plague had returned. We are not seeing that here. We're not seeing that in Wuhan. We are not seeing that furthermore anywhere in the fucking world. And we're being buffaloed. We're being bullshitted. Now, I have a presumption. I have a suspicion out there that one of the reasons that they're putting masks on everybody is because of their new technology that has the ability to map the veins in your forehead, to map the veins in your eyeballs, to map your eyes and your retina. And I have a feeling they're using it for a facial recognition deal so they can implement or integrate and upgrade their facial recognition system. So in the event that you're covered like this when you rob a bank, they can still identify who you are. I've actually got a thesis on the technology that I'm speaking about, and it's fucking scary. They can literally identify you through a camera based upon your heart rate and your heart rate alone. Your rhythm of your heart literally has a signal that they can pinpoint now with the technology that's been created. Isn't that something? Isn't that amazing? Now, as far as these cronies helping the American people, or furthermore the people of the world, because this is global, no more being selfish saying, oh, I'm an American, no, I'm a man, just the same as any other man on this earth, and we all have unalienable rights not to be bothered unless we harm somebody. Right? Everything else is extortion under the guise of safety. It's literally what it is. The state can give you no rights, ladies and gentlemen. All they can do is offer to contract because it's a corporation. And the corporation isn't even offering to contract with you. The corporation was set up with contracts that has agents and agency that are more than happy to facilitate and assist you in signing up with their program, because after all, that's how they get paid. The court system, private, for-profit judiciary. It's real. And it happened after 1789, all right? The last real judge, 1791. The last real federal fucking judge, ladies and gentlemen. So how do we combat this? Well, first, you have to ascend to the mind. Because again, the only state you can live in is a state of mind, period. That's it. If you're in the state, aren't you technically dead? If you're in the state of Nebraska, aren't you 6 feet under? All rise. They're raising the dead. Pull your head out of your ass. Realize what they're doing. It's magic. It's hocus pocus. It's wordplay. And as soon as you ascend to the mind, all that shit's gone. And they know it. And I'm living proof of that. You gotta see it walking into a courtroom being me. Boy, it's entertaining. The power. But again, we don't use it ignorantly. We don't use it foolishly. We do it for what's right, just, fair, integrate, just what the judiciary was intended to be. But because they're not, we as men and women have to stand up and go in there and spank them once in a while. You know, I remember stealing a piece of bubble gum one day, and my dad didn't say, well, it's okay, at least you didn't steal the whole box. No. He went and got himself a wooden paddle he'd made back in the 70s in high school, and he spanked my ass. And he got me good. And I tell you what, things that hurt, we're not so quick to repeat, right? Now, I used to think he enjoyed that until one day I had to spank my daughter, and I've only had to spank her one time. She went to cross the road without looking both ways, and I would much rather spank her tail end than have to scoop her up off the side of the road with a grain shovel, all right? My ex-wife was pissed, livid. She'd never been spanked in her life. That's how I was raised. And I knew that things that were painful, we quickly learn from. We don't want to do it anymore. So when you experience the judiciary, you realize how painful that is, you will start to learn. I promise you that much. A lawyer cannot help you. A lawyer cannot help you at all. In fact, by hiring a lawyer, you submit to the jurisdiction, you can't challenge the jurisdiction, and you are absolutely screwed. From point break, you're screwed. It's over. Just go in there and expedite the process by saying, yeah, I hired a lawyer, guilty as hell. I would pray and beg upon your ignorant ass to be as lenient on me as you can because I didn't waste your time. You were able to fleece me just like that. So just tell me what I owe, and please make it reasonable because I'm here today just to expedite this process. And you watch how quick these judges will be to be extraordinarily lenient on you in the commercial venue. They will. They absolutely will. If you admit your fault, run in there real quick and say, yes, I hurt the state somehow because I'm ignorant and I don't know any better, and I'm willing to let you extort me. The robbery will be swift, and typically it won't be so brutal. If you go in there and hire a lawyer and you go around with this little rigmarole, and you want to go through the demurs and the discovery and all this horse shit, and you drag out the court case after hiring a lawyer, they're gonna fleece you for it. Not only are they gonna fleece you of your bonds, your performance bond, your bid bond, your payment bond, your signature, they're gonna incarcerate you. They're also going to inflict some emotional trauma on you. They're also gonna put you in a cage. That's what they do, because they can profit off that too. There's a warehouse bond. That's how your sheriffs are getting paid. So for you statists out there, I'm just trying to help you, not trying to ridicule you. The state, again, is nothing more than a piece of paper. The only way you can hurt the state is by going to the archives and burning the motherfucker. Like the burning in Virginia, when they got rid of the 13th Amendment. Because what? It didn't fit the agenda of the Esquires. It didn't fit the agenda of the lawyers. Lawyers are lying, looting, pandering pieces of shit that don't know what a good day's work is if it fucking hit them in the goddamn face. That's the honest truth. Lawyers are liars. They attorn rights. They attorn property from one to another. And rights are property, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening. They cling on to Roman civil maxims like this. Let he who is ignorant remain ignorant. Does that sound like they're helping mankind? Does that sound like they're doing the good works of the Lord? Does that sound like they're trying to help anybody but themselves? Not to me. Not to me. We're supposed to be doing good works for our brothers and sisters. We should be living in the George Jetson era right now. But because the de jure states sold their sovereignty to the banksters, now they're under the thumb of the banksters, and the governments of the world do not operate the way they're supposed to. You see, they were always supposed to come to the people, and the people were supposed to decide whether or not we steamed off to war, whether or not the cause justified the ends and the means. Not anymore. Now they just go to the bankster. Screw the American people. Furthermore, screw the people of the world. We don't care what they've got to say. They're useless feeders and eaters and breeders. Just like a feedlot, ladies and gentlemen. Human resources. You are an energy. And at that, you're a renewable energy because you keep feeding and breeding. Which every time you breed and you pop out an offspring, they turn around and tag and bag that shit. It's just like this. A certain time of year, you have to go get a state permit to hunt a deer. Which technically means that that's the state's deer, right? I mean, if they're issuing a license and a permit for that deer, it must be their deer, right? I mean, otherwise, why would you pay for it? But shortly after hunting season, I'm traveling down the road, 65 mile an hour, and I hit a deer. So I get a hold of the state. I get a hold of the governor. I get a hold of the senator. I get a hold of the attorney general. I say, hey, your property caused my property injury, damage, okay? And immediately the attorney general goes, no. That's not our property. That's an act of God. Now, wait a minute. 6 months ago, I had to get a hunting license to hunt the state's deer. Now, all of a sudden, it's not the state's deer, and who's going to fix my automobile? Oh, well, we're sorry about your luck, Scooter, but that's an act of God. That's nature. That's God's works. We don't have anything to do with that. Do you see the controversy? Do you see the issue? I don't know if I can paint any prettier a picture than that. At certain times of the year, when it's advantageous and beneficial for the state, it's the state's deer. And they fleece you of your energy to put meat on the table to keep you subject to the bankers. And then again, there are times when those statutes, codes, city ordinances, and provisions don't apply. And one of those instances is when you're caused harm, injury, damage, or loss by the deer that you got a permit for. Isn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? How about insurance? Insurance is another good racket and scheme. It should be called in case shit don't happen. And in case shit don't happen, you should get it back. You don't get it back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no, that's not how it works. If you are good all year after paying your insurance, right, with the FRN notes, they just go, thank you, appreciate it. Free money. Fuck. The insurance is the biggest racketeering scheme I've ever seen in my life. People on average spend about 200,000 FRNs in their life for insurance, and most of them never use it. Where are all those funds? And then they have lawyers that turn around and cloud the issuance of insurance and say, well, your house wasn't damaged by the storm. It was damaged by floodwaters. And unfortunately, you're not covered by floodwaters. Where the hell do you think the floodwaters came from, you jackass? It came from the storm, where there was wind damage and a tree fell down. Never mind about the tree on your house. Never mind about the wind blowing down your walls. The only reason your walls fell is because the water saturated the ground while it rained, and that's flood damage. That's not, you're not covered for that, unfortunately. And they have a bunch of lying, looting, pandering, piece of shit lawyers that manipulate language in order to screw you out of what you're entitled to. That's the truth. That's what happens. So, anyway, for you statists out there, the state is nothing more than a piece of paper. It's an idea with a group of men, a body of politic, attempting to enforce it with their knucklehead gun-toting morons that don't have very much intelligence. They really don't know the law, ladies and gentlemen. They don't. 16 weeks of training, I can tell you right now, there ain't an officer out there that knows his ass from the hole in the ground, and he's definitely not qualified to make a legal determination. Not at all. Not for an instant, not for a moment. Absent an actual physical crime, those gun-toting morons should be sitting at the doghouse. They should be sitting at their little police station until called upon. They should just be like attack dogs. Hey, I just saw my neighbor get beaten by 2 guys over here. We need you over here immediately. That's how it should be. They shouldn't be out on your highway fleecing you and extorting you and hitting you for petty little shit. And that's what it boils down to. Where is freedom? When a kid in Afghanistan can walk around with an AK-47, a 14-year-old can walk around with a rocket launcher, but here in America, you can't even walk down the road with a beer. Ain't that something? Not that I'm advocating drinking by any means. I just think it's funny. I think it's funny. Issue your own PN to the insurance commissioner and be self-bonded. Absolutely. Absolutely. Trapper Killsman, I heard you got a ticket the other day. I want to come down there and go to court with you. I think it would be a blast. So I think you should end it before then, but I would love to go down there with you. So yeah, there's benefits to the commercial side of things, and then I think there's more benefit on the private side myself. You know, govern yourself. Don't register to vote. Become an elector. If you want to do something positive, become an elector. Get a land patent. Call for a land patent in your good name. Become an elector. Have diplomatic status. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Enjoy raising your offspring. And stop letting these morons lord over you. Look at this. There hasn't been one politician that isn't wrapped up in a scandal with dirty deeds. From Bill Clinton, not having sexual relations with women in the White House, which he's done far worse than that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just being light about this. From Obama admitting that he smoked crack, from Hunter Biden sleeping with hookers and whores in other countries and selling out the United States to China with his papa, his daddy, who's future president running, I guess, or a future presidential candidate. I mean, I don't know how people could even allege that they're Democrats. Do you realize that Democrats wish to enslave people of color? All right. Now, what's funny about that is most of the people that vote democratically are, in fact, men and women that have melanin in their skin. And I think it's fucking absolutely atrocious because they don't realize that if we look at the parties, the Republican Party didn't want to enslave them. They actually fought to take them out of slavery. But at the same time, they're 2 wings of the same fucking bird. They say things to manipulate the masses so they can get you guys to do what the fuck they want you to do. Because they enjoy living life high on the hog, doing absolutely nothing other than creating misery for you guys. Absolute pandemonium and misery. The only need to create more statutes, provisions, city ordinances is to find another way to extort, steal, and fleece you. That's it. That's it. Absent a crime, absent somebody actually punching somebody in the fucking face, or stabbing somebody, or raping, or murdering, or stealing, there's no fucking crime. Speeding isn't a crime, ladies and gentlemen, until you, traveling irresponsibly, causes an accident. Now it's a crime. Other than that, it's just a suggested sign on the side of the road for safety purposes, and I'll take it under advisement. I may or may not follow it. It just really depends on how I feel that day. But absent causing somebody injury, damage, or loss, there is no crime. You're fucking thought policing. Same thing with a DUI. I don't agree with drinking and driving, but I will tell you this much. Absent a victim, if you pull me over and I've had a toddy for my dinner and I blow a .08, which I would never blow in their stupid ass machine anyway, it doesn't even matter. But the fact of the matter is, absent a victim, there is no crime. And if you're really that concerned about my well-being and the well-being of others, then I suggest you give me a ride home. I suggest you do your duty, right? But let's not forget this. Their job is not to serve and protect you, and we learned that in the most recent Supreme Court case ruling in Broward County, Florida, where that gun-toting moron hid underneath the stairs while a school shooter was actively euthanizing our youth. And he sat underneath the stairs, scared shitless, and did nothing. And the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that an officer of the law has no obligation to protect you, your friends, or your family at all. It's not what they're being paid for, ladies and gentlemen. They're being paid to harass, badger, threaten you, issue tickets, create security so they can unjustly enrich themselves. That's their job. And if you don't fucking believe me, go read the court case. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you at selfgovernanceU.com. Remember, they are now attacking the internet with such force that most of the people bringing you credible intel, their videos are being taken down, their content's being taken down, they're posting actual statutes, codes, city ordinances, and provisions, and I'm seeing Facebook remove it with fact checkers saying this isn't accurate. Well, if it's not accurate, perhaps we ought to write to Congress. Perhaps we ought to talk to the senators and governors. If Facebook fact checkers are saying that those statutes, codes, city ordinances, and provisions aren't accurate, and they're being fact checked, well then we got a crisis here, don't we? The censorship is ungodly. It's unbelievable. We're supposed to be enlightening our fellow man and sister. We're supposed to be helping each other out, and we're being stifled from that. So that's why I started selfgovernanceU.com. SelfgovernanceU.com in the near future will have an open forum with many of subject matters so you can participate in the particular subject matter that applies to you, and you can have dialogue with very intelligent, enlightened people, men and women, such as Mr. Anonymous. I have a number of people that are so articulately brilliant, from foreclosures to DUIs to speeding tickets to mortgages to, banking to offsetting and discharging. The people that I communicate with on a daily basis will blow most of your guys' minds. And some of this information isn't meant for the masses. It just isn't. I mean, there's a lot of people that would find themselves in trouble executing certain processes because they don't know who they are and they don't know how to stand. And trust me, when you do finally stand, they will threaten, intimidate you, and cost you against your will and create court cases, and you better know how to handle your affairs as a man. Because the second that you waver, the second that after you file the lien, the second that they tell you, if you don't pull that down, we're gonna take you to court, we're gonna take you to prison, and you're gonna go to jail for this. If you pull that paperwork down, it means you did it without conviction, you didn't believe in what you were doing, and you created fraud. You can't pull it down. If you do something, you do it with conviction because it's right, and you don't waver for nothing. See, a lot of people go to jail putting liens on judges because they turn around and get threatened by other people in the judiciary and other people in the government, the alleged government. And so they run out real quick and go to the county record and pull it all down and release the lien, and immediately suit is brought against them for bringing a falsified claim. And they go to jail because they didn't stand with conviction. They knew damn good and well why they were doing the lien. It's because these people were wrong. But as soon as they were threatened, they questioned whether or not they did it right. Okay? Now that's where equity comes in. Equity is gorgeous. I love equity. It's so beautiful. It's just amazing. He looks at the intent rather than the form. So what if you didn't get the form correctly? Who gives a shit? Because it's about the intent. It's about the intent. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys at selfgovernanceU.com. Like I said, it's ever growing, it's blossoming, it's going to be a beautiful place for people to be able to interact without their comments being deleted, without the content going anywhere, for as long as I can anyway. I don't have the capability to keep people from hacking it and destroying it, I just don't. But with good faith, good spirit, and a good attitude, hopefully Self-Governance U will blossom into a beautiful forum for which everybody can communicate on multiple topics. For now, I'm just doing small classes on selfgovernanceU.com, just teaching you the fundamental basis and how to stand, just the fundamentals. And once you learn the fundamentals, then you can blossom and grow. And liberty and freedom isn't free, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to do some work. It's going to take a little bit of sweat equity to ascend to the mind to get where you need to be. I don't get meddled with at all. I travel around in a van with absolutely no plates. I'm waiting on the day that I get pulled over. It'll be like winning the fucking lottery. Cha-ching! Yeah! Because what they're doing is unlawful, and it's also illegal. Period. Absent a victim. What's this say? Unclaimed children by not... Oh, it went too fast. All right. I'll let you guys go. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Check out selfgovernanceu.com. For all my friends out there that are extremely articulate and learned, I'd love to have you on selfgovernance.com or selfgovernanceu.com as well. It's going to be an enlightening time. It's going to be a lot of fun, and the more the merrier. So thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you soon.